What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into the Beantown Boys, the Boston Celtics, and their NBA offseason. We're getting so close to the start of the season. We're like 30 plus days away, okay? 30 plus days away to get into actual regular season action where they tip off against the Philadelphia 76ers and apparently skinny Joel Embiid. I'm not sure if you're seeing those photos out there, but Joel Embiid looked like he's Joel Ozempic right now, the way that he's slimmed down and gotten ready. We get a good one today. We're grasping for info here as we get some Russell Westbrook stuff. We got another twist in the Kuminga news. We get some anticipated September action for the Celtics. And then, of course, we'll get into your comments. But do me a favor. As you can see, it sounds like I have swallowed a pack of cigarettes. Shout out the fall season where the weather is beautiful, but my allergies put on a full-on Joe Mazzulla town-esque assault on my body. So I apologize for how I sound. But do me a favor. We're still battling the elements. So hit the subscribe. Get involved in the chat. We're closing in on 2,100. Let's keep those numbers up, baby. Speaking of up, I don't know. That's a terrible transition. We can all agree that was a bad transition. As some would say, pause. Russell Westbrook is back in the Celtics radar, apparently, according to some reports that came out over the last couple of days. Fox Sports named the Celtics the top landing spot for Russ, who remains a free agent, saying relying on being a dominant defensive team won't work for the Celtics in 25-26. They need a variety and more than anything capable and willing scorers. Westbrook fits that bill. And then also Westbrook could be himself on the Celtics coming off the bench as the second unit's leading scorer, according to Fox Sports. First of all, that second, be himself, I don't know what that means. I think we do have some bench scores already. I go back and forth. I think Russ is I don't want to say he's a floor raiser, a regular season floor raiser, I think, at this point in his career where, bringing Russ onto your team isn't all of a sudden going to make you a title contender. I do think, though, he is a one-man wrecking machine, both sometimes positively and negatively at this point in his career, and that he could be the engine for the second unit if that's the direction they want to go. Let me just give you some Russ numbers from his last season here with the Denver Nuggets. So he played 75 games with the Denver last season. I'm actually surprised he decided to leave Denver. I thought I thought it was a perfect fit. I thought it made sense. He seemed to really get along with Jokic. I know there was a little bit of a scuffle or some tension that was reported between Aaron Gordon and Russ in the postseason, but I thought that was much to do about nothing. But I did think the way that Russ can kind of, find the passing lane, slash and cut, made a lot of sense when you have somebody like Nikola Jokic out there throwing it around. I also thought it was a good backup to Jamal Murray. And again, if Russ is not somebody on your team that you need to play 35 minutes per game, right? If you're like, hey, Russ, can you just you're like the Energizer Bunny, man. We'll wind you up. We'll wind you up and then just go for as hard as you can for 20 minutes, right? I think that is the perfect fit for him right now. But anyways, last season with Denver, played 75 games. He had averaged 13 points, almost 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, shooting 44% from the field. 32% from three, 66% from the line, which is a little funky. He also averaged, just to give him a little love here, over a steal a game, and he averaged a half a block per game. I didn't realize this. He finished 7th and 6th man of the year voting last year. Did not realize that. And then, he averaged 28 minutes a game. And I think that was actually a little bit high just because of the amount of time Jamal Murray missed there. He's also versatile enough that if Gordon missed a game, sometimes he'd slide into the starting lineup, or if Michael Porter Jr. Missed a game, he'd slide into the starting lineup. I think with the Boston fit, it's kind of interesting. I think if Boston is committed to trying to compete this year, even though realistically compete. I'm saying when I say compete, I don't mean go win a title, but I mean try to put out the best product and win games, right? I do think Russ makes sense. Because again, let's go back to that starting 5 that we had talked about, right? Let's assume it's Boucher at the 4, it's Kate at the 5, and then I'm going to go Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown. That's your starting 5. If you come off the bench and all of a sudden here are your options. You have Anthony Simons, Russell Westbrook, who I do think could play together, right? I know Russ wants the ball in his hands, but I think they could play together. You have Sam Hauser for some three-point shooting. Not real. And then the wings, where we've got Baylor Shireman, we've got Jordan Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, Luka Garza, right? I do think that makes you a little bit more competitive. I think if the Celtics, though, are trying to lose some, not trying to lose games, but are trying to position themselves to have a stronger draft pick next year, I don't think Russ makes sense. I'd rather go take a flyer on somebody that's not expected to play. You know, like go get a vet who is just happy to be there that can serve as a mentor role to some of these young guys, or go get another young guy that will just be happy to be here that's got maybe some upside. Because I think at this point in Russ's career, I don't think, he's not out there being like, let me coach these kids up. Russ wants to be out there and he wants to play. Again, I think it's unlikely. I was actually pretty surprised by that Fox Sports report, because everything that we were hearing this offseason was that out of Russell Westbrook's camp, my sources, excuse me, out of Russell Westbrook's camp, was that he wanted to stay on the West Coast, California specifically, which was why all of this buzz around the Sacramento Kings seemed to make the most sense, even though the Kings are a dumpster fire organization. Seemed like they were trying to move off Malik Monk to go get somebody like Russ, because then, and if they did do something like this, that would mean their guards would be Dennis Schroeder as a point guard and Russell Westbrook as a point guard. That as a 1-2 punch makes somewhat sense, right? We know he's not going to go to the Lakers because of how that ended with LeBron. The Clippers went and got Chris Paul and Bradley Beal this offseason, so the Clippers aren't going to make sense. And then Golden State, I don't think, is the fit that makes the most sense either. So if it's not going to be California, I don't know. Maybe Russ is open to coming back to the East Coast. The Celtics do still have a roster spot open, and I do think it'd be for relatively cheap at this point. And if the numbers make sense, I mean, I can see Boston being like, hey, why not? Why not? Again, I think for me, I don't coach the team. I'm not Brad Stevens. All right, I'm aware of that. I'm just a boy in front of a camera. I would like, my goal for this year is to have a good feeling for what we have for next year. That's what I want to know. I want to know from these young guys who is available next year to actually impact winning. Hugo Gonzalez played over interseas. Jesus, can you tell? Can you see the allergy brain right now? Played internationally for Real Madrid. There's a guy, again, that does all the little things really well, a good glue guy, jumps into passing lanes, makes the right pass, occasionally gets involved offensively. Is that game going to translate to the NBA? And if so, that makes perfect, like that type of player makes a ton of sense with the roster we already have. Baylor Shireman, is he going to be able to level up? We saw some flashes of it at the end of last year's NBA season. We saw a little bit of upside in Summer League. Jordan Walsh, it's year 3, baby. What do we got from Jay Walsh? What's in the bag? Or Josh, why not, my not? I have to say it like that. I have to call him Josh, why not, my not, so I pronounce his last name correctly. But you've got some athletic upside. Is it going to translate? Luka Garza, are you going to find something? Keita, are you able to take a step? This is what I want to learn from this year's Celtics season. And if that ends with them being a 4, 5, 6, 7 seed, whatever, awesome. I'm down. I'm down for the journey. And if it means we're in the lottery and it doesn't assemble to some sort of playoff run, that's fine too. I'm okay with that. I just want to know, when our guy Jason Tatum comes back, who do we have? Who are we going to war with? All right. Anyways, that's enough about Russell Westbrook. That being said, if he shows up, I'm down. Russ, I've always enjoyed Russ. I just want to bring up Kuminga again because this is hilarious, dude. September 18th, Warriors still have not made a move yet. Al Horford, our guy Al, Boston Al, still out there on the sidelines being like, hey, man, am I going to be on this team next year? Al, the water's warm in Boston. It's not, but just come home. You can just come home. We get a spot for you. Forget Russell Westbrook. Give us Big Al, baby. Give us Big Al. Would love to have you back. Although I know I got some ages in the chat that don't want that, but I don't care. Al, you want a title with us, baby? You can do whatever you want, Al. But the Warriors are a dumpster fire. It's so bad right now. Reports came, like everybody's leaking stuff now. Kuminga wants more money. The Warriors have no option because they need to turn Kuminga into an asset. They don't want Kuminga on this Warriors team, but they need to sign him so they can trade him so they can get something else back. But now Kuminga's like, well, now I have leverage, so you got to give me more money. It's just real. This is like a friends of yours in high school that you liked both of them, and they kept dating, and it was bad. It ended bad every time, but then they kept going back to each other. And the worst part about it was not that. It was that you had to keep hearing about it. And that's kind of what this Kuminga situation is turning into. I feel like we should be getting Venmo'd some therapy money. Right? Hey, if we're going to keep listening to this, you're going to pay me. You're going to pay me if you're going to keep talking to me about it. But I just wanted to bring this up because apparently Jimmy Butler and his team reached out to the Golden State Warriors front office and was like, hey, what's going on? And I love that. I love that because the last thing any organization needs is Jimmy Butler to start wiling out, a la Minnesota Timberwolves and Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, or the Miami Heat last season. So excited. Golden State Warriors have been like a model franchise for the last like 10 to 12 years. And in the words of Fall Out Boy, it's going down. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. But anyways, let's see where Al ends up. I'm sure his camp's super frustrated. He thought this was going to be taken care of like a month ago. And the Warriors now, September 18th, we are 3 weeks away. Not even. We're like 2 weeks away from training camp. They still have no idea what they're doing. So I'm here for it. I wanted to shout out to CelticsBlog.com, talk a little bit about some September moves. I think it was, I want to make sure I credit the right person. Oh, no, not Celtics Blog, CNLS Media. I wanted to credit who wrote this before I take. Oh, Bobby Manning. We love Bobby Manning. Shout out Bobby Manning. He gave us a couple of things to pay attention to for September, so I feel like I'd relay them. He said the Brooklyn Nets. We got to pay attention to Brooklyn. Because Cam Thomas signed that qualifying $6 million deal. They also brought Kobe Buffkin in. I believe they have like $11 or $12 million or something like that left. But he said the Nets now have 18 players on standard contracts, $16 million in cap space, creating at least some intrigue with the ability to carve out as much as $24.7 million in room as they finalize their roster. Bobby goes on to say that's less than $27 million that Simons makes, but Boston and Brooklyn could still execute a trade that sends a player making the minimum back to the Celtics while saving Boston between 24 and 26 million. It's almost too much money coming off the books to make it worthwhile, as the Celtics would forego Simons' matching salary and trades. So basically bringing up Brooklyn because it's like they seem to be one of the teams that are willing to take on some money, but I don't know if Simons is actually, if that's going to be a trade partner. The only person in Brooklyn that kind of makes sense for me is Nick Claxton, but I don't think that's going to happen. He also went on to say that, just a reminder, Brad Stevens signaled earlier this summer the Celtics aren't interested in attaching assets simply to move below the luxury tax line, meaning we're not going to trade Simons, and then we're not going to give you extra stuff just so we can save money. You're not going to get extra. It's going to be fair market value. He said also Brooklyn, like not just the Nets, but the Jazz are also worth watching as a destination if they decide to move off Simons. They have 16 standard contracts on that team and are $2.5 million under the cap line. But Boston could take back Yusuf Nurkic, the Bosnian beat. I don't know. I say Yusuf Nurkic in a Scottish accent when he's clearly Bosnian. But Boston could take back Yusuf Nurkic and save $8 million, or throw in somebody like Tillman to slide below the tax completely. So the Jazz and the Brooklyn Nets in September are the two teams to pay attention to if the Celtics decide to make a move. Again, I'm not saying they're going to trade Simons, but it's clear to me they are going to make one more move, at least before the trade deadline. A couple other players that I mentioned, obviously Russell Westbrook. Ben Simmons still out there, supposedly wants to play basketball. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Who cares? But Ben Simmons could be a name to pay attention to. We already talked about Al Horford. Two other names, Gary Payton II and DeAnthony Melton. Most likely Golden State Warriors targets, but probably not. Probably not Celtics, but yeah, just keep those names in mind. But those are some September names to pay attention to. And then let's wrap up here. I know this is a little bit of a quicker show than typical, but again, I sound horrendous. But do me a favor if you made it this far before I get into your comments. We only had a couple from the last video, but make sure you hit that subscribe, smash the sub, smash it, hit the notification bell, do all that stuff. Let's get into some of the comments here. We got Jeff M. Who cares? Who cares, Jeff says. Blowing this team up was beyond stupidity. Same thing happened 30 years ago, and it took them 22 years to get back to the top. All right, I just want to do this math. I want to do this math quickly because, so it happened 30 years ago. So 30 years ago is 1995, right? And then it took 22. So we won a title in 2007. So, I mean, that is still a long time. That is still a long time, right? 05 is 12 years. That was a long time. If that's what you were saying, 95 is, I'm using your math here. It took them 22 years. And then we won the title in 07, right? KG, anything is possible. And then we won it again, right? So I hear what you're saying, that blowing it up is stupid. They financially had no choice, man. Financial, like I feel like we've outlined this before, Jeff, and that's okay. But if the Celtics did not move off of some of these salaries, this roster this season was going to cost over $500 million, with 270 plus million of that not from the roster, not from salaries, but from luxury tax alone. So they had to make moves. Like it was clear this was happening. But we knew this was going to happen. Once they signed the extensions, when Porzingis and Drew got their money, we knew this was going to happen. So I know it sucks, but it was going to happen. Coach the Ghost says, as you talk about finding the Warriors finding as you talk about the Warriors finding the correct number for the guy, is there a chance we re-sign Simons? It's a double-edged sword. If he does well, it's going to make his contract value go up, not his trade value, seeing how everyone knows our situation. As I'm writing this, it just doesn't make sense for our money to be spent on him with our holes, though who the hell is going to rebound is the real question. Yeah, yes. We lost all of our rebounders. Al, Porzingis, Tatum, right? That's like 30 boards a game almost. The Simon stuff is confusing. I agree with you. Because he could play so well. He could play so well, and his trade value does go up, but it's not going to go up so high that we're getting a ton back because everyone knows it's a rental. You might be trading for Simons, and he could be gone at the end of the season, or maybe they do some wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We know we're going to re-sign you, right? That could happen. And I agree with you, too. I don't think Simons makes a ton of sense long-term for this team just because of, if you still have Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, and Simons wants, hey, if Simons wants $15 million a year to come off the bench, hell yeah, Anthony Simons, welcome home. I don't know what his market's going to look like. Maybe he loves playing in Boston. He's been on bad teams his entire NBA career. Maybe he comes to Boston and he's like, I can probably buy the same amount of stuff with $15 million that I could with $20 million. I don't know. Probably not, though. I imagine as a professional, Simons wants to make as much money as he can during his short span of earnings in his career. He's got to go get his bag. So I imagine if he's still at seeking for 25 plus million a year, it's just not going to be in Boston. Which is why I do think they will act. And it could, honestly, I could see him getting moved for 2 second-round picks closer to the trade deadline. And and rightfully so, people are going to be like, that's terrible. That's a terrible deal. But again, because his contract's up, the team that's trading for him knows they either have to pay him or it's just a 6-month rental. So I hear you. QT 3.14-ish says the trade that should have already been made, but won't be made is Tatum for Kuminga in some fashion. That would get ball hog Tatum. Oh, my God. I feel like Ron Burgundy just reading this. Well, you know what? We're going to do it like this. We're going to do a little performance theater for you because there's QT3 is either to Boston, it's bad, or he's actually a Golden State fan. But let's do it in a Boston accent. The trade that should have been made, should have already been made, but won't be made, is Tatum for Kuminga in some fashion. That will get that ball hog, Jason Tatum, and his massive salary off this team and off the court for Boston, allowing the roster to truly gel, while Kuminga would be freed from the chains that is around his neck at Golden State. Give Boston the skilled, pure athlete that we so desperately need, who would be extremely motivated to prove his worth, would offer salary relief to Boston that would allow Stevens to actually build a team that he wants, possibly including re-signing Simons. Get Tatum a premium team in a premium situation. Allow Tatum to not rush back from the injury and set up the Warriors to transition from Steph to JT as its star without Golden State having to hit rock bottom first. It would literally be the perfect trade for both teams. However, trading Tatum while he's injured, along with Boston's already existing reputation for being disloyal to players back from the Danny Ainge era, will preclude Tatum from being traded at this point, if even ever. That's some of the dumbest shit I've heard in my life. Listen, I'm sorry. That's terrible. First of all, mathematically speaking, so now they're paying Steph Curry $50 plus million. They're paying Tatum. They're paying Tatum $50 plus million. They're paying Draymond Green a bunch of money. They're paying Jimmy Butler $50 plus million. Just pull out a calculator, brother. Also, comparing Kuminga's upside to what Tatum is right now, already a top 5 player in the league. I don't know how many times Tatum has to get disrespected by both his own freaking fans and other other fans. Like, I get it, man. He's not Jokic. He's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has won an NBA champion. He is going to surpass so many freaking people on the list of players ahead of him. He's going to finish like a top 25 player in NBA history when his career is over. And you're saying trade him for JK, Jonathan Kuminga, the man who's like, you know where I'd like to play basketball? Sacramento. Here's your red flag. If anyone is ever like, send me to Sacramento to play basketball, that's the only player evaluation you need. That's like, what's the test NFL players take? The Wonderlic or whatever? That's the Wonderlic test in the NBA. If they want to go play in Sacramento, they're not a serious basketball player. There we go. I did not. Wow, so animated. What garbage. But hey, thanks for hanging. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe on the way out. Hopefully, I don't sound like I swallowed a pack of Marlboros tomorrow.